I watched Dracula the other day. I don't know what I was expecting. I guess I forgot that it's based on a book. It's by the creators of Sherlock, like all of them, Stephen Moffat, Mark Gatiss, and Sue Virtue, and has the same problems that made Sherlock season 3 and 4 terrible. I am going to get into Dracula, and I'll put a timestamp when I start to talk about it, but the issue with Sherlock was that this whole thing of how did Sherlock survive the fall? Like, that was the whole setup of the last, I mean, spoilers, but you know, last episode of series 2. And then series 3 comes along and they're basically like, you guys are so stupid for even caring about this. It's like, well, what did you want? What did you want us to do? Just ignore it? Also, you know, I didn't want Sherlock and John to, but lots of people did, and quite honestly, it seems to me like I can see why people got upset. I mean, at the end, they are together, they're living together and raising John's daughter, so fine, I guess people got what they wanted. But this show, Dracula, is just, I don't know what I was expecting. I mean, I know that I should have probably looked into the book first and figured out who Van Helsing is and whatever, but like, I started watching Dracula and then he's in this place, and yes, the nun is Van Helsing. I'm gonna put spoilers in this, but yeah, I only watched episode 1, by the way, to a certain point. It was just the worst. I couldn't even get through the rest of episode 1 or 2 and 3. Incidentally, I'm also going to be ranting about Hannibal. Like, or how this doesn't even compare to Hannibal. It seems like they wanted this to be like a mix of Sherlock and Hannibal, and like, it doesn't work. Okay. So, this guy, Harker, I think his name is in a nunnery, and this nun comes in, and she's all like, very annoyed about God, and maybe that's explained later, maybe that's part of the Van Helsing thing, but it's like, it was just random. It didn't make sense. Like, the narrative of having him be talking to the nun, why would they do that? It didn't work. Like, it's like, I would rather, it's like, okay, well, I know how this guy ended up. Everything was spelled out, including a question that the nun asks. It's like they were trying to preempt a type of, you know, Sherlock John thing with Dracula and Harker, and consequently it doesn't work. I think that's going to be the title of my video, Dracula. It just doesn't work. And there are some elements that I didn't like that I think I could have dealt with if the characters and story were better. The accent, they got a Danish actor to play, like, I don't know why his accent is always like this. Why is Dracula's accent always like this? Because I've listened to people who are actually from the same area, they don't really speak like this. I mean, they sound Eastern European, but they don't speak like this. Like, so the guy starts out by telling the nun, oh, this is why these terrible things happened, and then it turns out he was going to the castle for some reason, and Dracula immediately is like hitting on him and is like, no, you have to stay. And then it turns out that Dracula is like sucking out his life force or something, so he becomes younger and the other guy gets older and he starts to fall apart. But who cares? We know how it's gonna end up. You know, I don't understand. It's like, it's terrible. And I'm not really also a fan of the fact that there are not, like, there's no well-rounded female characters in Stephen Moffat's and Mark Gatiss' shows. There's just not. All there are 1D caricatures just designed to push a political message. And that's not what I'm looking for. Shockingly, I like to think that maybe women are somewhat interesting and have personalities, and I don't even know what was going on. I think that's why my review's kind of scattered. Like, I don't even know what was going on with this show. I don't think I'm going to watch 2 and 3. And I actually thought to myself, okay, maybe I'm glamorizing seasons 1 and 2 of Sherlock. Maybe it didn't start as well as I thought. I mean, it starts in a similar way. You see war footage in Afghanistan where John was fighting, then he wakes up from a nightmare and then is crying, and then you don't actually see Sherlock until about 10 minutes in, which is also when you see Dracula and Dracula. It's like they wanted to replicate what they had done well so badly, they didn't try to create something interesting. Just need to make an interesting TV show, and this one isn't good. I did find an article that I might link to in the description, just saying, hey, this person knows what's going on. Like, this is why Stephen Moffat's run of Doctor Who, according to my friend who watches, I didn't see it, was bad. This is why Sherlock seasons 3 and 4 were so terrible. And I mean terrible. If you haven't watched Sherlock yet, just stop at season 2. I'll tell you, he survived. It's all fine. You do not have to watch series 3 and 4. You don't. It's not necessary. So Dracula was extremely disappointing, and I guess I'm just going to try to find something else to watch. It was very, very disappointing. I don't know why they did the narrative of having us already see what he had been through, so there's literally no suspense, except you kind of wonder why the nun is being so annoying, but that's not really suspense, that's just aggravation. You don't know why they had to make Dracula such a caricature. I wish I could be less harsh, but it's just awful. And if you say, well, you should watch episodes 2 and 3 to make up your mind, it's like, why would I put myself through that? Why would I want to do that to myself? I'll just watch Sherlock series 1 and 2 again. Like, I can't. Life is too short to watch Dracula.